Hey, Sheila, how are you?
Is this Dr. Wayne Applewhite? I'm so glad to hear your voice.
Oh man, this is great. Oh my goodness, it is so good to be back here in front of the
Yay.
microphone and talking with
And
you.
and same here. It's the highlight of my day.
Oh my goodness, golly, I couldn't wait to do this again. And hello to our listening audience. And welcome to 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we explore the fascinating world of verbs and their impact on our daily lives. Join us each week as we delve into the different ways verbs shape our language and influence our lives
Mhm,
as we attempt to make a positive difference in our world,
mhm.
one verb at a time. And Sheila, this is episode number 104.
104.
104. How about that? And I have some other news as well because we have now been listened to the 26th
Ooh,
country.
ooh. Which
And
country is that?
would you would like to know which country that is? And so would I.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and it is da, 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 Switzerland and
Switzerland.
Denmark, 26 and 27.
Denmark. Excellent.
Denmark and Switzerland. I just moved to our
Welcome.
dashboard. Welcome. Yes. And thank you for listening. Oh, my goodness. Yes. That is very, very cool. And we have 1,093 plays of our podcasts. How about that?
That sounds just as we figured.
And I have a funny story for you, real
Okay.
quick,
All right.
5 seconds. I talked to someone where I was away from the microphone for
Mhm,
the last few weeks. And
mhm.
I said, hey, you should listen to our podcast. It's 27 Minutes with Sheila and Wayne. And he saw me the next day. He says, but it was 28.
Oh no. Oh, busted.
So, yeah,
Okay,
busted, right?
we're going
So,
to change the name to 27-ish minutes with Sheila and Wayne.
27 ish. Okay, I like
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome everyone to 27 Minutes ish with Sheila and
Right.
Wayne.
Right. Right.
All right, yes. Sheila, what is our verb for today?
Before we jump into the verb, I have two trivia questions.
Oh,
One of
okay.
which one of which we will answer at the end of the show, and the other of which I don't think I'll be able to hold back without giving the answer.
Okay.
So the first one that we're going to answer at the end of the show is what famous general said, "I will return"?
Oh, I know that answer.
Okay, good. Well, here's the second one. Ready?
Uh huh.
What world famous podcaster had to take time off for important business and has now returned?
Ooh,
That
that's
would
a
be
hard.
Wayne
That's
Applewhite.
that's that's a hard one.
That's the one I couldn't wait to the end. Welcome back.
Well, thank you, thank you. It's great to be back. It really is.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
this is so fun doing this with you. Thank you for
It
doing
is
this
the
with
same.
us.
And today's verb perfectly is to return.
Oh, to
So
return.
you have returned. And I have two meanings. You probably have three or four more. So I'm going to jump in with to come or go back to a place or person.
Okay.
And number two is to give, put, or send something back to a place or person.
Okay.
And just from a personal standpoint, I found return to be, from an emotional standpoint, a comforting word.
Oh,
So there you
oh,
go.
good. All right.
Okay. So
Okay.
how about you?
And on my definition list, I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I have eight more,
Hmm.
and they're all close. To give, do, or get something after something similar has been given or done to you.
Oh,
The next one, to reply to someone's question or request. To give a particular amount of profit. Ooh, you know about that from the financial world.
right. You get your return. Yeah.
To send, take, give, put, etc., something back to where it came from.
Okay.
Reminds me of a movie, Young Dr. Frankenstein. Put
Okay.
the candle back.
That was a classic.
And here's another one, to bring someone back from somewhere. Ooh,
Mm,
return. Yes, much like that general you're talking about.
right.
Um, in sports such as tennis, to hit the ball back to your opponent.
Right.
I didn't even think of that when I was looking this word up. In
Well,
football, it says
yeah.
to catch a punted or kicked ball and carry it back towards your opponent's goal. And then the last one is to happen again.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, and I liked all of those. And
Yeah.
and obviously, I wanted to go down the personal and professional way of return
Yes.
because I wanted to get into reciprocal, reciprocating with in kind and those
Okay.
kinds of things. And someone did you a favor, you do them a favor, or someone just asked for you to do something and you give them more in return.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's relationships and professional, personal.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Okay.
I looked on the internet, much as I quickly do, and I saw all of these return on investments, and I saw
Uh,
return to this or return to that. I found something on the Scientific American website,
ooh, I do like that website.
and it is totally different and void from anything I've said
Okay.
prior. and it's something that I don't think I found more fun to read.
Okay.
And I said, I'm just going to have to do this one just because it's fun. and,
Okay. I
si-
love that.
and since we look at different perspectives of the verb, here's a perspective of the verb that I'm going to talk about. However, Sheila, where can our listeners find you?
Oh, thank you for asking. I am at zekeandsheila@yahoo.com.
And I am at Wayne at mindsinking.com. And without further ado, let's get to it. Would you like to start with yours, with your research?
No, you've got me just curious. I do have some quotes, and
Okay.
I'll just throw one in, and we'll get to more later. The first one is this question is how do I deal with a bully without becoming a thug in return? Has been with
Ooh.
me ever since I was a child. And Celia Edward, an American activist, said that one. How do I deal with a bully without becoming a thug in return?
Okay. Huh. I like that.
Yeah.
And okay. So that's
So
the
go
one.
ahead, jump in.
Here we go. Scientific American website. It says, it asked the question, and this is the article, and the title is, Why Don't People Return Their Shopping Carts?
Oh, I have asked see, this woman is thinking about, big things. I think about shopping carts all the time too. You see them in fact, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go on a tangent that's not necessary. Jump in and tell us why people don't return their shopping
No, go
carts.
ahead. Go on your tangent, please.
Someone told me that shopping carts are really space aliens, and that's why they're actually slowly taking over the world because you see them everywhere now.
Oh
And
my goodness.
they're benign, so you don't think they're a threat.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
that's totally off the pages of UFO newspaper. So go ahead, jump in. Sorry.
All right. So anyway, as I read this article, I first looked at it and go, and I wanted to bypass it, but I brought it back because this is just fun. And this is not what I was thinking about return. So, and I said to myself, who hasn't, which driver in the world has not driven into a parking lot and was about to turn into a parking spot,
Mm-hmm.
and there was that cart
Yep.
sitting there.
And our
Either
best words don't come out in that moment.
they do not come out in that moment, no. And so I said to myself, well, you know what? This is just going to be fun. I'm going to. So I read the article,
Yeah.
and it gave me all kinds of laughing moments. So I'm going to share those
Oh,
laughing moments
good.
with you,
Okay.
with our audience. And I'm going to read most of the article. So I'll just do it in sound bites.
Okay.
So starting off, and this is by Crystal DaCosta, as a matter of fact. And it was written on, at least it was published on April 26, 2017. So many, many years, 7 years ago. But anyway, she says, while some supermarkets are better than others, it's probably not unusual to find a few stray shopping carts littering the parking lot to the dismay of shoppers who may think that a parking spot is open, only to find that it's actually being used by a shopping cart.
Grr.
And I said sometimes also a motorcycle because you
Oh,
don't see
okay.
it. Hey, there's one right there. And there's this motorcycle. But no, I turn in and there's a shopping cart. I'm like, the horror of horrors. It seems like a basic courtesy to others. You get to a cart at the shopping market, you use it to get your groceries and goods, and then you take them to your vehicle. And then you return it for others to use. Yay! That's the best way to use a shopping cart.
Right.
And yet, she says, it's not uncommon for many people to ignore the cart receptacle entirely and leave their carts next to their cars or parked haphazardly on medians. During
Okay.
peak hours, it can mean Bedlam. Where does this? And she says, where does this disregard come from? And I'll leave it there, and I will come to you.
Can I just say that I am sharing this outrage at the shopping cart thing until you said they park them on the medians, and I maybe have done that before. I
Oh,
can't believe I'm saying this out loud. At Costco, where the kiosk for the carts is way far away. So
uh-huh.
I'm going to talk about something a little different for a moment because we're going to get back to you. But I just want to take a break here and talk about. I was reading about uh, how so many dogs and cats are returned to shelters after they're adopted.
Oh,
And it actually, the numbers are smaller than I thought, although they might be skewed by what they call pandemic pets, who were, when people were in their homes for a long time, they adopted dogs or cats specifically. Dogs seem to be the biggest issue. And then once they started going back to work again, returning to work, they didn't have the energy, resources, et cetera, for the pet. So as it turns about, in a study of 572 individuals in
wow.
Texas who adopted dogs or cats. Within 6 months, 10% of those who had been adopted no longer were in the home, and 40% of those 10% were returned to the shelter. The
Hmm.
most common reason being aggression, dog aggression. But interestingly enough, the age range of people who are more likely to keep their dogs was from 25 to 34. And there's
Really?
yeah, yeah. And it didn't matter if you'd been a previous dog owner. It didn't matter if they gave you all sorts of information about how to care for dogs. Those didn't matter. It just boiled down to that. So,
Huh.
uh, moving on.
Yes, and it's important what you said because some people they don't realize the work and the effort and the dollars that's involved in raising a
Yes.
pet,
Right,
whether it
right.
be a dog, a cat, or something else.
Yeah. That being said, because there's so much information and publicity about pets and pet adoptions and whatnot, the numbers have gone down hugely in the last 10 years of pets that have been sent back to shelters. So,
Well, that's
I mean,
good.
found in shelters to begin with. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
this is
that's
from the
good.
National Library of Medicine of all
Huh.
organizations. So,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, looking back at the shopping carts,
Yes.
Crystal says some supermarkets have tried to make this relatively easy, being that respectful person who wants to grab the cart, use it, bring it back to so others can use it. She says they have cart receptacles throughout the parking lot. A cart attendant to bring the carts back to the store, and some may even rely on the cart rental system where you pay for the cart and are reimbursed when it is returned.
They have
She,
those a lot at airports.
they do. She says in the instances where there is no rental system, people may leave their carts stranded for some of the following reasons. And here they are. There's 6 of them. The receptacle is too far from where they've parked their car. Number 2, they have a child whom they do not want to leave
Mm,
unattended. I can
okay.
see that.
Yep.
Number 3, the weather is bad. Ooh.
Mm,
Number 4, they have a disability
okay.
that is prohibitive to easy movement.
Okay.
Number 5, the perception that it's someone else's job to collect the carts.
Mm,
It sounds like entitlement to me.
mm,
And then number 6, they're leaving the carts for someone else to easily pick up and use. And
mm.
I thought, okay, I can see about 4 of those has some merit to it. Okay, I
Okay.
can
All
see
right.
that. I can see
Okay.
that. And then she goes into, and this is what I found really fun. She says, similarly, there are 5 categories of cart users, and she names cart
Oh,
users.
okay. All right. This is a quiz, like a personality quiz.
She calls the first one the returners.
Okay.
The next one is the never returners.
Oh, not me.
And then number 3 is the convenience returners.
Mm, mm.
Number 4 is the pressure returners.
Oh,
And number 5, the child-driven returners. And I will give you all of those descriptions. However, I will not want to belabor all the words here. It is your turn to, gosh, fill us with some things that you have found.
Can I just say real quick a story? I was running into a grocery store one time, not because I was going to do shopping, but because I was going to meet somebody there. And a fella called out as I was going by and said, "Do you need a cart?" And I said, "No, thanks," as I kept walking briskly, clearly in a hurry. And he said, "You don't get it." And I said, "What?" And he said, "When someone says, 'Do you want a cart?' you're supposed to take it back for them."
Ooh.
I've never heard that rule, and I don't adhere to that rule.
Ooh.
I was shopping cart shamed.
Ooh.
Okay, next thing I have here, real quick,
Okay.
is turning the pages. Returning merchandise. Another
Ah.
post-pandemic thing. I don't know. I'm on a theme, post-pandemic stuff. Much online shopping skyrocketed during the pandemic, and excuse me for the noise in the background here. Um, and the expectation of retailers is that 20 to 30% of things purchased online will be returned, as opposed to 9% for in-person purchases. And the most often returned merchandises are apparel, footwear, and accessories. The least likely things to be returned is food and groceries.
Okay.
But now retailers are starting to say, we're not going to make it as easy as it has been to return. The pandemic is over. You need to be more sophisticated in your online shopping. We're going to make it a little more challenging. And for instance, Amazon is not necessarily charging the consumer, although it may trickle down there, but they're charging the retailer if they've got
Ah.
an algorithm that sets an increased expectation of the amount of returns they should be getting. And
Hmm.
if that goes up, the retailer's charged if it's fulfilled by Amazon. So interesting.
It
Interesting.
is, and you continue to use the post-pandemic kind of symbolic thought process here. I'm
Hmm.
going to add one to that
Okay.
because also on the net, as I was looking up return,
Okay.
I saw many articles and many statements, or at least just little things on the blurbs on the internet about people returning to work after the pandemic because
Yes.
employers were forcing, making, negotiating
Return to
with
work mandates. Yep. Yep.
return to work mandates. And I was being interviewed, I think last summer or 2 summers ago, about that very same question.
Okay.
What were the thought processes of people returning to work? And I had mentioned, I said it's going to be tough for some individuals because, and this, and one guy where I was this past few weeks talked to me about this. He says his father worked at some place, and because of the pandemic he got to work at home,
Hmm.
and then the father he quit because his father found out that he figured out that he could make more money staying home
Mm.
because the state paid him dollars to be home, plus he got
Oh,
other remunerations for other places, and he was making more money by not working
wow.
and staying at home than he was if he was at work. So he says his father said, "I'm not going back to work ever." And I'm like,
Wow.
wow. And other individuals, executives were saying that they didn't want to go back to work, to the
Hmm.
office per se, because they liked their view. They,
Okay.
they looked out over the lake, or they looked out over the ocean where they lived, or they looked out
Oh,
over, and their scenery was so gorgeous that they didn't want to go back to the cubicles that they were working in,
okay.
and they didn't want to return to the chaotic commuting. Oh my goodness. They
Oh,
said,
yeah.
hour
That's a
and a
big
half
one.
commute one way when it
Totally
should
get
just
that.
be 30.
Yep.
Yes. So post pandemic, those things are still being talked about on returns. So there we go. Anyway, let's see what Crystal says that a
Yes.
returner is.
I
So
have
she
already
says,
put myself in one of the categories, but let's hear if I'm correct.
okay, she says returners. These people, she uses these people always return their carts to the receptacle, regardless of how far away they've parked or what the weather is like. They feel a sense of obligation and or feel badly for the people
Mm.
responsible for collecting the
Mm-hmm.
carts.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, I'm a returner.
Okay.
I am a returner. She says the never returners, people who never return their carts. They believe it's someone else's job to get the carts or the supermarket's responsibility, and show little regard for where the carts are left. The convenience returners, she says, are people who will return their carts if they parked close to the receptacle or if they see a cart attendant. So, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so you have to have a little bit of pressure, and that here comes the next one. The pressure returners.
Okay.
People who will return their carts only if the cart attendant is present. So, Big Brother's watching, or if the adjacent car's owner is present. Oh, I don't want to look bad in front of, the person who's sitting in the car.
Judging.
Which means they don't have an easy avenue for abandoning their carts.
Can't get away with it.
And the last one, child-driven returners.
Right.
These are the people with children who view it as a game to return carts, often riding them back to the receptacle or pushing them into the stacked lines. And I've seen those individuals, and I've seen them inside the stores as well.
Me too. Not always safely.
But they're having fun.
Yeah, they are.
So I like that. So which did you fit in any of those 5 categories?
I have to say, when I go to the grocery store, I find the return kiosk or whatever you want to call it and park near that on purpose to make it easier for me to return it. But on the times when it's so far across a very large parking lot, I think to myself, they have set themselves up for this problem. And I justify it that way. Very rarely, and it's only at Costco that happens.
And I look at it in a totally different light because I tend to park far away from the store.
Yes.
Meaning it's farthest away because I like to walk.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's I consider it part of my exercise. Now I do walk. I walk. I try to walk 2 to 3 miles a day anyway. But when I go to the stores, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I can walk a little bit further here. So I tend to park in the back 40.
Okay.
Some people don't know what the back 40 is, but I parked in back 40. And it's because I'm going to get exercise. So I know I have to walk from my car to the store, grab a shopping cart, push that shopping cart to my car, and then walk that shopping cart back to the receptacle, and then walk back to the car, which gives me another added quarter of a mile, if you will, half a mile maybe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Plus a little bit of upper arm exercise.
Exactly. And so I do it for those reasons. Now, I also do it whether it's raining, snowing, or whatever, or hot, because I walk every day anyway. So the elements don't really bother me. Now, a windshield, okay, maybe I might do something a little different when it's a windshield, but I typically do that. And Sheila, I'm looking at the clock, and it's 20. We have 23 minutes on the clock already.
Okay. All right. Wow. Okay.
So yes. So 28. So I'm gonna stop there.
Okay.
and I will let you continue.
Let me just give another couple of. Oh, go ahead. What?
No, I was gonna say, and you have that trivia question too.
I haven't forgotten that one. That was an easy one. Another couple of quotes. If you can't return a favor, pass it on, according to Louise Brown, an English celebrity.
Okay.
And then finally, Yo-Yo Ma, a musician, said, I think anybody who goes away finds you appreciate home more when you return.
I like that.
I like that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It has been so fun returning back to the microphone with you. Oh,
yeah, I agree. I agree, Wayne.
Yes.
And since we're so close to the end, and since we want to be 27 minutes as opposed to 27-ish minutes, I just want to answer that trivia question. And to remind you, the question was, what famous general said, I will return? And it was
Douglas MacArthur.
Yes. What were the circumstances? Do you know?
He was returned to the Philippines.
Yes, exactly. After he was evacuated, he said, I will return.
I will return.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
I can see with his corncob pipe in his mouth too.
And then a famous actor has a line from a movie called Terminator that people quote frequently.
Oh, I know that's Arnold.
Yes. And what did he say?
He said, I shall return.
Did he? Okay. Or I'll be back.
I'll be back.
And that, if you're a musician, you go, well, Bach, what do Bach and Mozart have to do with it? Anyway, that's a verb for a different day.
See, now I have a question for you.
Okay. All right.
That brings me to a question.
Okay.
Warning, caution, everyone. Here comes a dad joke.
Oh, thank you. I'm ready.
Why did Mozart shoot all of his chickens?
I do not know.
Because he asked them who was their favorite conductor, and they all said Bach, 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 Bach.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Wayne. And I think we have no more to say than that. Thank you. Except thank you, folks, for listening to us. It's such a treat to be back, and we look forward to many more shows in the future with you. Thanks for listening. Welcome, Switzerland and Denmark.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Wayne.
It's great to return.
Amen.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.